As many of you know, and I know you already heard from Senator Murkowski, my state, our great state, the great state of Alaska, is an energy and natural resource powerhouse, superpower, all across the board, all of the above energy. And let me just give you an example. Since oil began to flow down the Trans-Alaska Pipeline in 1977, we have been able to provide our great nation with over 18 billion barrels of oil. At one point, that was 25% of all American oil production coming from Alaska. So we are proud of this record, proud of being an energy producing state. And we do so with the greatest respect and concerns for our environment. Matter of fact, I was the Commissioner of Natural Resources and Energy in Alaska before I was a U.S. Senator. I can guarantee you we have the highest standards on environmental responsibility anywhere in the world. If you're on the North Slope working at Prudhoe Bay, you can't even spit chewing tobacco on the tundra without having to report it. So very few people do it. So anyways, but this pride also stems from the fact that we know energy impacts lives in very positive ways. This is an issue that I don't think gets talked about enough, but energy security, the jobs that come with this, has impacted Alaskans in a very positive way for decades. Let me just give you one example that I frequently remind my fellow senators in the U.S. Senate about. There was a study that was done a couple years ago on life expectancy changes in America. I actually have a map I'll show you here in a minute. But the bottom line of this study is life expectancy in certain parts of America has increased, as you would hope so, but has also decreased, unfortunately, in certain places. The place in America where life expectancy has increased more than any other place has been Alaska. And it's because, unfortunately, we had very low life expectancy, particularly in some of our native villages. As late as 1969, the average life expectancy for our Alaska Native communities in many parts of the states was 35 years old, if you can believe that. But we had resource development, energy production, the jobs that come with it. And in Alaska, life expectancy from 1980 to 2014 increased in some places by almost 13 years. Here's a map. I'll show it to you kind of closely. The dark blue and purple is where life expectancy in America increased more than any place in the country. And you see Alaska, it benefited tremendously. So these issues are literally, from my constituents, a matter of life and death. And so we take them very, very seriously. There is no doubt we need clean energy. And again, I want to commend all of you for this focus on it. But here's the issue. The United States can continue to provide leadership on clean energy issues, renewable issues, traditional energy sources. And that way we make sure that we can reduce global greenhouse gas emissions, but also take care of the people that we represent. Unfortunately, in some of the recent discussions on energy policies, I think too often that this issue is forgotten. You see the new administration, the Biden administration, in many ways looking to shut down traditional energy production. Of course, this hurts thousands of people, workers and working families in my state, tens of thousands across the country. But what I also think is missed is how this drives up energy prices for American citizens. If you're looking at what's going on in the European Union right now, it's a great example of where the policies are so focused on being anti-carbon that the cost to the average family is increasing dramatically. And now we're starting to see that in America. You see prices of gas at the pump are close to $5 in places like California, close to $4 in the great state of Alaska. So what are we going to do about it? We can't just be against everything. We have to have our own plan. I and a bunch of my Republican colleagues will soon be putting forward an energy, climate, and jobs plan that we think is going to be very, very beneficial, and it's going to focus on clean energy, all of the above energy technology, in a way that we think we can dramatically improve lives in America and all over the globe, reduce global greenhouse gas emissions, but also continue to grow our economy and create good paying jobs in middle class families. So, but we need to start, and you guys have already done this, with some basic facts. Facts that, again, have been highlighted at this conference, but let me just touch on a few of them. The United States has been the global leader since 2005 on reducing global greenhouse gas emissions, close to 15% during that time period. No other major economy in the world has that kind of record. To the contrary, if you look at China, which is the largest producer of greenhouse gas emissions by far, they are responsible for 28% of the world's global greenhouse gas emissions. Close to 100% of future emissions growth will come from non-OECD countries, with China leading the way in exporting U.S. LNG to China and India and some EU countries, which we are starting to do now, but can do much more of, would produce 50% fewer greenhouse gas emissions for each unit of LNG, U.S. LNG used. You know these numbers, but we are already beginning in America through innovation, not major government mandates, to have an enormously positive impact on global greenhouse gas emissions and cleaner energies. So, what are the things that we're going to be looking at with regard to our plan? First, of course, there's the revolution in natural gas. Now, this should be a bipartisan issue. As you probably know, in 2013, President Obama touted the benefits of the natural gas revolution. He said, quote, "We produce more natural gas than ever before, and nearly everyone's energy bills in America are lower because of that." Very true. The natural gas boom has led to cleaner power, cleaner energy, greater energy independence, and we need to encourage that. Couldn't agree more with former President Obama. Even current President Biden has reportedly said he's all in on natural gas. That's great. That's what our plan is going to be focused on. Unfortunately, other members of the Biden administration don't seem to be so enthusiastic. So as the world needs gas, and the International Energy Agency has predicted the need for natural gas continuing for decades into the future, we believe the United States, with our highest standards on the environment, should be the country providing clean burning natural gas, not just to our citizens, but to countries around the world. Let me give you one example of what exporting US LNG to China and India and Japan would do just from our country. I'm not talking about Australia exporting or anything from other countries, just American LNG. It would reduce annually emissions, global emissions, by almost 3 million metric tons per year. That is equivalent to roughly 9% of total global greenhouse gas emissions per year, or roughly 100% of the total energy-related greenhouse gas emissions used or emitted by the entire European Union. We can do this. These are the numbers. Let me give you another example of where our plan is needed and we can benefit America, our workers, working families, and the environment. You already heard my colleague, Senator Murkowski, talk about the need for critical minerals that are critical to the support in the renewable energy sector to produce, process energy technology, clean energy technology we need. Unfortunately, as you know, most of this technology, most of these critical minerals are coming from China. They have zero environmental standards. They often abuse human rights when they produce these things. They have zero labor standards. We should be producing this in America. Certainly, Alaska has critical minerals that our country could use. This can make it so we are producing the minerals and the clean energy technology that we need for the future. To me, this is a no-brainer. Matter of fact, during the recent debate on the budget resolution, I had an amendment that said any federal dollars being spent for critical minerals, for renewable energy technology by the U.S. federal government should come from the United States or our allies, but not communist China. That amendment passed with over 90 U.S. senators voting for it. So this is a bipartisan area. Let me talk about another area that will be in our plan. Innovations, whether it's for battery storage, to bolster microgrids for rural electrification, small or advanced nuclear reactors, and of course, carbon capture, storage, and utilization. These are all areas where the United States has led. These are all areas that are important to a clean energy future. We can continue to produce all of the above energy like we have in Alaska. And as we grow that sector, including with natural gas, have the capture and storage abilities that it can help reduce global greenhouse gas emissions. Currently, the U.S. imports 75% of its goods from less carbon efficient countries. But here's a stat that most Americans don't know about that's critical for how important we develop our resources and manufacturing capability. The goods manufactured in the United States are 80% cleaner than the world average. Again, think about that. We need to take advantage of that for the benefit of our country, for the benefit of working families, but also for the benefit of the global environment. Finally, our plan will have two other areas that we think are very important. One, which everybody in my view should agree on, is common sense permitting reform. Unfortunately, our federal permitting system for any project, a wind project, a solar project, a natural gas project, all of these things take years. Other countries, OECD countries, our competitors like China, have have systems. Well, the Chinese don't have any permitting system, but our allies have systems that bring projects online in a much more rapid, efficient way. The United States needs to do that. It can't take 10 years to permit a natural gas project or a solar or wind project. We need to do better. Again, I think there's bipartisan support on that. And finally, every one of these ideas and policies will empower American workers and working families. We have for too long been outsourcing our ability to produce our own energy, to produce our own critical minerals. Our plan will focus on insourcing that, bringing these capabilities, bringing these great opportunities for American working families back home. We have some of the most amazing energy resources, some of the most innovative scientists and technological opportunities of any place in the world. We need to take advantage of those and not outsource them, especially when we have the highest environmental standards in the world. So I want to thank all of you. The good news is in this plan that we're going to be putting forward, so much of this is already happening. It doesn't take $3.5 trillion and a Green New Deal socialist approach to the economy to make this happen. Many of these things, most of these things are already happening in the U.S. economy. We just need to provide additional support for these kind of innovations that we think can power an American energy revolution, a clean energy future, and a future where our economy and working families thrive and are not shut down. So that's the vision. I hope so many of you share it, but we think it's going to be an exciting time. Stay tuned. We'd love to provide more details on our plan as we get ready to roll it out soon. Keep up the great work, and we want to continue to work closely with so many of all of you. Thank you very much.